You're going to love this. Trust me, what you're seeing now is my normal state.
Welcome, I'm Speedy King, and this is Being Held Hostage with Your Adorable Crush by Sweetheart Audio, who I had not seen much of. I think I subscribed to her in the past, then unsubscribed to her, and then recently resubscribed to her. So I saw this audio, and I'll be honest, I thought it was bad. I didn't like it. I just thought it wasn't good, okay? So, I'll summarize this for you, and thankfully it's incredibly easy to summarize, because most of this is filler, not actual progress. You could probably cut this in half, and it would be just as effective. Anyway, here's how it goes. So you start off in this bank robbery situation. This is quite unclear to me. It's explained later, but as you're watching it, it's very confusing. When I first watched this, I didn't know whether you were hostages because you were criminals who got caught trying to do the bank heist, or you were caught by criminals and you were innocent. Later on, after I rewatched it, I realized that you were innocent people who just go to the bank who were caught by robbers. The reason I was confused the first time is something I'll go into later, but that's the setup, is you are two people who visit the bank regularly, you have been caught by robbers, and you're apparently sitting here, and apparently they haven't shown up in a while. And I think a throwaway line in the beginning brings mention of this, but you have these criminals, and you hear nothing about their activities in the beginning, which again makes it confusing as to who you are in subject. Again, this is, and I'll go on as to why it's even more confusing later. But, basically what happens is you introduce yourselves because she wanted to talk to you because she saw you in the bank earlier, but she was too shy to say this to you. And she'll say that a lot. I think she says she's shy 3 times. I know she says, "Hi, I'm Claire," 5 times, at very random intervals as well. And I'll go more onto the redundancy in a little bit. Again, you talk to her, and she tells this to you, and eventually a policeman shows up, who shows up and then goes out the door and then watches you. And then she gets the idea that he's watching you so she can confess to you. So then she confesses to you, and then the policeman comes and explains that apparently half an hour earlier the robbers were caught, and then they were watching you on the cameras, and they wanted her to confess to the listener, and this is what was happening. Now let me go over as to why this policeman makes things confusing my first time watching it, and could easily make anyone else confused. The tone of this audio is very confusing. I'm supposed to be in a bank robbery situation, yet there is nothing implying any kind of tension whatsoever. I mean, if I were caught by a criminal, presumably being held with a gun over my head, I would not be chill mode. Yeah, you come to the bank often? Yeah. How's it like for you in the bank? Yeah? No, I wouldn't be. I'd be like, whoa, I could die any second here. I wonder how I can get out of these ropes and run for my life. Or maybe I'll be praying to God or something. So that's a very confusing tone to begin with. It's the reverse tone of the situation I'd be expecting. Now that on its own is not necessarily bad, because you can have a different tone for a situation that should generally be high anxiety. But then you have this policeman show up, and this confused me again. Because, again, I thought originally that you were criminals who were caught, and then you were sitting in the back, basically the back of the bank. Because once the police showed up, the fact that the policeman walked away when he showed up led me to think, oh, well, that must be because you're criminals. No, it isn't. It's because he's trolling you. I found that very confusing my first time. And again, you might say, well, oh, well, you know, it was meant to trick you. Yes, but in the first case, I was tricked because it didn't properly establish it to me within the scenario. Then there's that element, which was an intentional trick, but it reinforced the bad direction. And if I am misdirected for 3/4 of this audio, that's bad direction as far as I'm concerned. I should not need to re-watch this video and write notes on it and say, and write a semi-transcript and look over it again and say, oh, so what were the subjects and the characters and what roles were they in? I should know this my first time watching it. I should be able to tell this my first time watching it. It should be, you know, obvious in a basic sense to the listener. That's an aspect of communication, right? Okay. So the policeman coming in reinforced my confusion, his actions. The way she referred to the policeman also made it confusing because she doesn't go, oh, hi policeman, please help me. She says, oh, hi policeman. You know, she doesn't have a very positive tone when he shows up, which you'd think she would, considering the guy would save your life, you presume? I mean, you'd think, hey, come and save me, but no, again, very confusing tone just on how she's acting there. Now, the redundancy point. I already said, she repeats lines a lot. Now, this whole hi, I'm Claire line, which she repeats 5 times. The problem with this, there are 2 problems with this. Number 1, obviously, it's redundant. Repeating it so many times, for me, was annoying. Number 2, though, I was confused that there were a lot more characters involved in this scenario than there actually are. There aren't. There's just you, her, and the policeman. Those are the only characters that are actually interacting. But because she kept introducing herself, I thought she was talking to other people and saying, oh, hi, I'm Claire, I'm trying to talk to you. She isn't. She's just repeating it over and over again. So I was confused. I thought, like, the criminals were like an element in this scenario. I thought they were actual characters in this story. No, they're not. The criminals are a background element. And at the end of it, they were already caught. I did not know this my first time because she kept introducing herself. So I thought she was talking to other people other than you. Because why would you say the same thing over and over again? You know, if these things are scripted, you presume not to put in the same thing over and over again. Because, you know, it's a basic of script writing. Why would you repeat the same line if it serves no purpose? She also says, like, oh, bank robbery. Yeah, we're in the bank robbery. How it is in the bank. She says a lot of basically redundant, like, conversational things. Which you might say, well, that's like flavor. Well, not really. Putting in empty, redundant filler lines is not flavor. What you should be doing is characterizing the character. Half the time she does that with her explaining, oh, I wanted to talk to you, but I was shy, and whatnot. When she's not repeating, oh, I was shy, and whatnot. But when she's saying that, that is characterization. You know, that's actually telling the story. There is characterization in this. The problem is, you have a lot of deadweight filler. That doesn't need to be there. Her repeating the same lines or being her, you know, you have this a lot. And it was really annoying to me, because honestly, this thing could be cut in half. Cut out all that repetition, cut out all these lines, and you have a 5-minute video instead of a 10-minute video. You know, and that would have been a better structured video. You know? Because here's the thing. The average May video, for example, is around half the length of this. Just to use an example that I think a lot of people would get. May basically establishes more of a scenario and better characterization in that time than this entire video. I mean, think of how simply I summarized the scenario for you. Literally, it's, you know, you're in tied up here. She starts to open up her feelings to you. Policeman shows up, policeman leaves, and then she confesses, and then that's it. You know, May could do that in half the time with a way better executed script, without repeating the same lines, and it would be a way better effect. Now, of course, this channel has more subs than May. This channel has like 25,000. May has, I think, 17,000 right now, so, you know, we're not talking on an even playing field in terms of attention here, so I think that's a comparison, right? So, yeah, I had a problem with that. I had a problem with that structure. I didn't like that structure. I didn't like the repetition. Of what good I can say, the characterization was not bad. It wasn't... Well, okay. The characterization wasn't bad. The scenario was confusing because it was misdirected. It was not directed well. And the script, I don't know if this was scripted. Like, seriously? Because the amount of repetition in this, you know, those are the two main problems with this. Misdirection, and repetition. But in terms of the scenario is simple, and the characterization, without the fluff surrounding it, is fine, because she's admitting her shyness to you, and then she kind of gets over that after the policeman and the cameraman apparently were spying. She, says, well, it ends with a "Hi, I'm Claire" line after she says what she says, which makes it feel very inconclusive. So it doesn't even feel like a very good confession. It doesn't feel like a very impactful confession after it's over, but you do get to a transition in these characters where initially she was introducing herself to you, and then, you know, she said that. Of course, I didn't get much of a shy impression from her that much, but it is there, so yeah, but that's it. So as for the art, I mean, in the video itself, it was playing basically this loop of like this heart image, kind of like heart image, you know, zooming in in a loop, along with some stylized text, and that was what was in the video. The thumbnail was just like a girl, not even necessarily anime look, kind of a regular basic cartoon look, wearing just a basic purple shirt, I believe, and just a regular background with text. Simple, but fine, you know. And, yeah, so that was it. So, you know, I didn't like this. Honestly, it's what it is. You know, because this is not a shill channel. This is a review channel. So if I saw an audio and I was like, not that great, I'm saying it. And, you know, no grudge, but honestly, I just didn't like this audio. I listened to it and I was mostly annoyed at it and confused by it. So, sorry, not a fan. I mean, not necessarily not a fan of this channel, because I hadn't watched her in a while, but, you know, I watched this audio, and, you know, this was what it is. So, rating, probably not going to surprise you. Audio, 5 out of 5. Wholesome rating, 5 out of 5. Overall rating, 4 out of 10. Rank, bad. You deserve better than this, honestly. You deserve better than this. You deserve better structure. You don't deserve the redundancy. I honestly just had a lot of problems. So, I had a lot of problems with this. So, that's how it goes. So, anyway. Thank you for watching. I'm Spaghetti King. I love you all, and farewell.